what has been done to the effect of all of this job loss. So if I might just go to another chart here so that we can set the foundation for what we're going to talk about. You know, the numbers basically lay it out there. During the Great Recession, beginning in the fall of 2007 and then continuing on until the fall of 2009, 8 million jobs were lost. Nearly all of those were lost during the George W. Bush administration. For Americans that depended upon their savings, their retirement accounts, $17 trillion in retirement savings were lost during this period of time. You just compare that to the previous 8 years of the Clinton administration, when 22 million jobs were created during the Clinton administration. The question arises, why? What was the difference? What happened that caused during the last years of the George W. Bush administration the loss of these some 8 million jobs compared to 22 million jobs that were created under the Clinton administration? We're going to come to that during this discussion, and it's a fundamental question because it is the question of national policy. During the entire period of the Bush administration, by contrast, 1 million jobs were created in America. Again, an enormous difference, 22 versus 1. Why? What's the reason for this and the policy decisions that were made that led to this enormous difference here? I'll tell you what we'd like to do for the remainder of this year is to create some 900,000 jobs, and we're on course to do that. It's going to take a lot of work, and it's going to take a lot of changes in policy. Beginning with the Obama administration, a series of pieces of legislation were put into place. And I'd like to just review those pieces of legislation and what they were doing. Many of these were designed specifically to deal with the Great Recession and to prevent the American economy from falling into a 1930 depression. We were on the edge. We were teetering on the edge of that. Some of this was done in the last days of the George W. Bush administration, which was the bailout of Wall Street, the TARP program. That program pumped some $700+ billion into Wall Street. A lot of controversy about it. Other nations around the world were doing the same thing, and the result was a stabilization of the financial industry. You know, for me, I would have liked to have seen it done differently, but it was done that way during the Bush administration, and it did actually stabilize the economy. Now, because of bills that have been passed since that time, we're seeing a good portion of that money return to the American Treasury. Now, beginning with the Obama administration, immediate action was taken here on the floor of this House and in the Senate to try to stabilize the job market, to try to put Americans back to work. And the very first bill that was enacted, I believe within the first 30 days, was the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act. Now, economists looking at that today have said that that legislation alone created $2.8 million jobs, including teachers, police, firemen, construction workers, and the like. It also provided American middle class with the largest tax cut ever for the middle class. 98% of Americans received a reduction in their taxes as a result of that, so that today the average tax, or the amount of money collected from the American taxpayers at a rate as low as it was in the 1950s. There was also a major element of it that was called Rebuilding America, with clean energy jobs and with infrastructure. So 2.8 million jobs were enacted. I'm going to quickly go through these others. I'll come back to them during the course of this discussion. But also I want to just tell you the way we're going to do this, and that is we're going to talk about what's going on in various parts of America. So from time to time I'll come back and talk about the other 6 fundamental pieces of legislation that have been signed into law by President Obama, passed by this House. All 7, including the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act, have created jobs in America and turned around the American economy so that we're growing, not as much as we should and not as much as is necessary, but we're going there. I'd like